Cosplayers, what's one cosplay you will never do again and why? Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. I tried 3D printing an entire Iron Man armor. Took forever to get just the arms and they looked terrible. Pyramid head. A whole slew of reasons ranging from it is very hard to move /see/eat/drink/ literally anything, and this is the complaint with just the head. Now add in a skirt/dress like bottom and the sword. It is very uncomfortable to walk. Hard to sit down, and if the weather makes a slight turn to cold you really have no way to put something on that doesn't look completely ridiculous. Plague doctor. The mask bent and the goggles fogged up. Fell way too many times. Bison. My costume caught on fire going too near a heat source, and severely burned my legs, lower back, and butt. Ryak or any Shinigami in Death Note because it was a lot of work for people to just think you were from Kiss. Professor X. The only reason I chose it was because I had torn my LCL and still wanted to attend the event, so I rented a wheelchair so I could get around the event. So many people came up and sat in my lap thinking I was just cosplaying as him. Thank goodness my friend's parents lived close and we went and grabbed ice packs that we threw on my knee so people would quit doing it. Creeper for Minecraft for Halloween. I decided to not cut armholes because creepers have none. Also the costume went over my legs and I had limited mobility. Literally anything that small kids will get excited about. I cannot handle that type of pressure. Not exactly cosplay, but I went to a Halloween party as Waldo once. Terrible idea. Everyone wants you hiding in the back of their photos, and you hear "Haha, I found you" at least 800 times. Never again. Back when the Assassin's Creed games were in their heyday, I cosplayed as one of the assassins with a few of my friends who were also assassins. For example, one of us was Connor, one was ECO, another was Edward, etc. I spent a lot of time on those costumes and the props, so I have no problem saying they looked good. We got a lot of attention, including getting stopped for literal hours at the PlayStation booth for pictures because a few other assassins joined and we had the whole family. The problem, I am a girl, and a short one at that. My friends who cosplayed with me are tall boys, so at the risk of looking like a pop vinyl next to them I had to wear boots with a significant heel on them to help give me some height. It was brutal. We only got tickets for the one day and it was hours spent on our feet in poses and we had to stop every few feet for pictures. Don't get me wrong, the pictures were awesome. It made all the time and effort worth it, but I was in absolute agony. At one point when we all took a bathroom break I took off my boots and put my throbbing feet on the cold tile floor. Judge me all you want. It felt amazing. Thankfully some people who wanted to take pictures with me noticed I was in pain and out of costume and just chatted with me and waited to take pictures until after I got the boots back on. I had to call it quits early on and missed out on looking around as much as I would have liked. Even trying to leave the huge convention center was slow because I kept getting stopped. When I finally got back to the hotel and took my boots off I had huge blisters on the top of my feet, on my heels, everywhere. It ruined the rest of the weekend for me. A couple of years later I went as Lara Croft from the newer games and got to wear flat, grippy boots with a nice gel insert. It was heaven. Goku. Back in college I had long curly hair, and a girl who was amused by it straightened it and used hairspray to get it to stick straight up. Then I used black spray on it. Though it was so big, I would have been better off going Super Saiyan. After college I chopped my hair. So impossible to do it justice again. Dr. Roxo. Nobody wants to see that. Kakakayi. Real reason is while fun I have no place to put anything. No pockets. Nowhere to store cash/ID. And if it's cold, forget about it. Also, seriously, nobody wants to see that. I kept it screen accurate. No kid-friendly steps. And I wore it to age-appropriate events. Rorschach. I saw almost nothing under that mask and couldn't enjoy anything. Graffiti skin tracer from Overwatch. Paint kept transferring from the gas mask onto my face and my mask was literally dripping water from my breathing. It was hot and stuffy and gross. Sailor Moon. I felt beautiful and powerful, but the groping and upskirt pics, they think they're so sly, were repugnant. Slenderman. I got really into the craze back in the day being a 6 feet 3 inches skinny dude, and I thought of myself highly for having been a Marble Hornets fan car before the game was ever released. The issue is that I have a big head/nose, so through the morph suit you'd just see all my features, including my dark brown hair and smooshed nose. I ended up having a sore nose for days, and the soles of my morph suit were extremely darkened from walking around in platform boots for hours on end. Princess Zelda. I got a lot of compliments, but also an uncomfortable number of guys kept trying to flirt with me. Might have been even weirder if I wasn't a straight dude. Faye Valentine for Cowboy Bebop, not because of awkward guy comments, but because of other lady cosplayers that would come up to me and talk about how Faye is a good starter cosplay because I guess it's not intricate enough. I got tired of the condescension. Recruit from Rainbow Six Siege. Everyone thought I was a terrorist and had to leave. Darth Vader. Wore it for years in 2-hour stints. Vision is awful and zero skin is shown anywhere so it's hot. Rail hot. Lots of wiring for lights and sound mean there's always something that can, and does, go wrong. Lots of kids coming up and randomly pressing buttons on the chest. Plus the cape is hard to control. Now I keep him permanently displayed on a 6 feet 5 inches mannequin. Edit. Clarified that this is not the wrestler by adding Darth. One of the 300. I'll never be in that kind of shape again. Stormtrooper. It was custom made to fit me and I was so uncomfortable in it. It was hot and I couldn't see. I also would be lucky if I came out of it without cutting myself. Lord Business from the Lego movie. Or actually any Lego character for that matter. The head was too heavy, and I could barely move. I dressed up as Robot Unicorn from the Flash game and got hit on by 5 French guys. I'm a straight guy, also glitter everywhere. I once went to a Halo convention as Church, from Red vs. Blue. Midway through the con, I had one of my friends pretend to kill me. I felt so bad for him, because everyone was screaming at him, "You killed Church, you team killing fricted. If I ever do it again, I'll claim to be Epsilon instead." Lucy Heartfilia from Fairy Tale. So, the costume itself wasn't the problem. It's pretty simple to be fair, but it had other issues. Firstly, I have small boobs and the character doesn't. The amount of people that mentioned this was unreal. Secondly, the character wears a very short skirt. I had a few older men follow me and harass me because I was wearing it. Also it was mid-October in the north of Scotland, so it was freezing cold. Shadow the Hedgehog. It was a mistake and I don't think I need to explain further. Snow White. I wore it to a major comic convention and people would not let me walk. Parents were literally shoving their children into my arms and making me take pictures with their kids. Kids were flocking to me. Only nice part. And parents were pushing each other around to take a pic with me and their child first. I was trying to take the shuttle to the convention and I had a small crowd around me that would barely shift so I could get into the shuttle. My boyfriend at the time had to literally yank me and run away into the shuttle because we almost missed it. The same thing proceeded to happen in the shuttle, off the shuttle and attempting to walk to the convention, and at the convention. After 2 more hours of this I demanded we go back to the hotel so I could change and actually enjoy the convention. The worst part was people shouting, "It is Cinderella, it is Sleeping Beauty. No people know I'm Snow White, dang it." Edna, from The Incredibles. I am a short gothic lady and at the time had the same haircut as her. Went as her for a Halloween party and it's my nickname ever since. Especially when I'm angry. I freaking hate it. No Face from Spirited Away. At least not in public. I was accused of racism, asked to leave the subway, then taken aside by a very angry subway security employee and had to frantically find a photo of No Face to show him to avoid more trouble. In fairness, he then was very concerned and helpful and advised me to take the costume off before I got myself beaten up by someone. My hometown has a very big Arabic population so I can see why they thought I was being an asshole. What with the black cloak, black paint on my arms and the gold painted pebbles in my hands. Master Chief. Every Halloween at school I would wear an over-the-top costume and for my senior year I wanted to go above and beyond. So I worked overtime to buy Halo 4 Master Chief armor. Only problem was that the armor pieces were made of plastic so I couldn't sit completely down without breaking the thigh pieces. So I had to go through every class squatting over my seat instead of actually sitting in it. My legs were killing me at the end of the day. Also my costume was very loud. The sound of plastic rubbing against each other was terrible. Now I usually go for smaller cosplay. This year I went as a vault dweller and I could actually move and stuff. Out of all of the cosplays I've made, the most awkward is definitely Elma from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. I've always worn her to summer cons and my horn would fall off every time. But the worst time was when it literally broke off and left residual model magic on my forehead. Also the fabric I used for the tail stained my ass blue. Thanks Yaya Han. Made a pretty great Solera of Astora costume with real chainmail and armor and holy shit after 6 hours of wearing that heavy ass metal my back, shoulders, and arms were freaking wrecked. Any version of Harley Quinn. Nobody knows how to behave around Harley. Not thirsty Harley fanboys. Not Joker cosplayers that are a little too in character. Not neckbeards who want to quiz you on your Harley knowledge. Not other Harley cosplayers who have an issue with what version of Harley you picked or how accurate your cosplay is. Every Harley I've met has been given hell for their cosplay for one reason or another. I only did Lego Harley twice and got minimal shit for it, but I've met multiple Suicide Squad Harleys who were literally suicide baited online and pushed around at cons by people who hated the character. Never again. With Armica, I felt like my tits were gonna pop out of that suit at any second, and the body paint/tattoos were always rubbing off cores of the suit and armor. Also, someone bumped into me and broke the end piece of my gun and a piece of my armor. It was so uncomfortable. Never again. Hamilton. Turns out prop guns look like guns that are illegal, especially dueling pistols. The lusty Argonian maid. For obvious reasons. The costume was too much for me and now I live my life making inappropriate Todd Howard jokes, all while dressed as a seductive Argonian. Ariel. I love the Little Mermaid and I love the costume I made for her mermaid form, but it's just been a cosplay that creeps have ruined for me. I literally got to the point of having to pose-aid my bikini top to my chest and wear pasties in case someone tried to rip it off. I have been groped, had hands stuck down the front and back of my costume, been kissed, and have heard all of the sea-related dirty jokes in existence. I officially decided to stop after one incident at a local convention, where someone was trying to pull off my top and I slapped him hard enough for him to be thrown off balance. He fell into the water feature and hit his head. Police had to be called to figure out if it was self-defense or assault. Charlie Chaplin, he's easily mistaken for another guy. Nami from One Piece, it was a bikini top, had a nip slip, which wasn't too bad, and a dude jumped in front of me, let me know, and covered me while I fixed it. The problem is that he then spent the next 2 days thanking me for the experience. Bro, one thank you is weird, 2 days. Misa from Death Note, no one knew who I was supposed to be. Very cold cosplay and early spiring. Honestly, I'm never going to cosplay any guy character who doesn't have, like, plate armor or something. Binding did not go well for me, even with a legitimate binder made with folks who bind daily/near daily in mind, and I like my lungs working. I dressed up as the guy from Ghost with a shitty Pope costume and corpse paint for Halloween in Texas. Almost got my ass kicked by a drunk hick who was upset about the shooting in Pittsburgh that had just happened and overheard me making a joke about selling indulgences. Was a weird night. Rick from Rick and Morty. I did it back in 2015 and now it's just been done so many times and the Rick and Morty fandom isn't really my crowd. Batman. Some kid pulled my cape and it took my helmet and back piece out. They were all one piece of armor and I couldn't put them back together. Junkrat. Never again. The one time I went, I had my best buddy as Lucio. I mean, the cosplay worked perfectly. I have a prosthetic hand, amputee struggles XD, have a British accent. It sounds Australian enough if I try. And I stood at 6'3". My buddy had to keep people from touching my arm and asking if it was real. One time, I got so annoyed that I just took it off and waved my stump. Plus, the spray paint for the prosthetic was a pain to scrub off, and the wig was very itchy, though there was a group there with various other Overwatch characters and we had fun taking photos. Star Wars cosplays are frustrating to do, because no matter what character you are, you'll get some dipshit who starts a conversation with you and decides to go in depth on why Disney ruined their childhood. If someone is expressing their passion for something, don't complain about the merits of it to them. No joke, I cosplayed as Kanan Jarrus, the Jedi Knight character in Rebels, and someone decided to stop me in a hallway at a convention and give what I can only describe as a lecture on why the Clone Wars is better than Rebels. While I was cosplaying a freaking Rebels character, had the same thing happen when I did a Rogue One cosplay, Krennic, where someone tried to convince me that Revenge of the Sith is better, despite my repeated attempts to just say okay, and bow out of the conversation. I'm working on a Mandalorian cosplay now and already dreading what I'll have to hear next. Let people enjoy things. Vash the Stampede. Hole, one of my favorite characters of all time. The head takes way too long to get right. I don't use wigs, plus I lost the gun prop I made and I don't feel like making a new one. Never again will I cosplay for anime plate armor. I went as Gilgamesh from Fate's Day/Night, all 3D printed. 8 unrelenting hours trapped in a plastic cocoon. Skin unable to breathe. Pinching, serious chafing. Huge welts and blisters all over, and on the way home I turned in a funny way, snap went the armor, and by that point I had enough. I took everything off, threw it in the nearest bin and made the remaining journey home barefoot in cycling shorts and a red cape. I did a steampunk cosplay. I made a belt out of chains that wrapped down my leg and had a corset and gold half masquerade mask. The corset was a nightmare to get on by itself. Not to mention making sure my chains didn't break or fall off. Now I cannot remember how to get the corset on, so I gave up haha. To be purely because I have no boobs and it makes me too insecure lol. Daredevil, I couldn't see shit. Not me, but a friend I knew did Harley Quinn one year. The same year as Suicide Squad actually, and she got groped by men asking for pictures with her since she did look very much like Margot Robbie and she is naturally attractive. Not only was I disgusted, but she was so upset and infuriated that she no longer wishes to cosplay in anything with even remote levels of sex appeal. Sad face. It wasn't a cosplay, but a Halloween costume for a university party. I went as Two-Face as part of a group Halloween costume Batman villains, and went all in on the liquid latex face makeup. It looked grotesque. I was distinctly proud of myself. There was a guy from my course that I thought I was definitely in with who was also at the party. It turns out that fake horror burns aren't exactly conducive to drunken maquerettes, and he ended up going off with someone whose costume consisted of a corset, a pair of booty shorts, and a set of cat ears. Me, bitter, no. Please subscribe if you like the video, it really helps the channel to grow. Adios.